And now, listen, I feel there are so many iconic moments in Housewives history. I have to say one of mine, which really isn't something you did, but Tamra calling you Jesus Jugs.
It started as Jesus Barbie, right? And then I was getting all this. I had people sending me Jesus Barbie t-shirts and asking me if I wanted to start a line with them for the t-shirt line Jesus Barbie. And then the next show or at the reunion after that, she then termed it Jesus Jugs. And it was like, it took everything negative from there. And I'm just like, oh gosh.
I mean, it's literally one of my favorite things to say.
I still get called Jesus Jugs, by the way. Like I mean, they're here. Look, they're definitely there.
I mean, I can't even appreciate them for what they are, but in your case, I mean, like when I refer to you lovingly, I usually refer to you as Jesus Jugs.
Oh, nice. I didn't know that. I don't know how lovingly that is, though.
I think it's a compliment. I think it's a term of endearment at this point.
It is pretty iconic, though.
It's
most people say it's the time when Tamra kicks me out of the gym. Like that was I think that one made a list somewhere of the top 10 iconic moments from all Housewives was when she kicked me out of the gym. Cause it was just I literally thought she was going to hit me because she got up right up in my face. And I'm like, oh, if she hits me, it's going to be going down. So it's funny.
Were you really scared of getting hit in that moment? And today, after all of our chats with Miss Alexis Jesus Jugs Bellino, we're going to share some classic blasts from the past. What are your favorite Housewives chats of ours? We just showed you Heather Dubrow. We're about to show you a whole bunch of other little clips today that are kind of our best of. So enjoy, and hopefully you enjoyed our chat with Alexis Bellino also. Listen, we are in a new season, season 14. There is a little bit of drama we've seen. I mean, you and Drew, you guys seem to have come right out of the gate with some drama. Like, what is it about Drew?
You need to ask Drew, what is it about Sheree, honey? I didn't have an issue with Drew. I didn't know Drew. Drew came from me and she started just making up storylines like this. She wanted to divert from
Get the heat off me.
Yeah, and then who better to come for it than but the queen, the OG? Like, really?
Do you think Drew is out of her league? Like you said, you're an OG, you're the bone collector. I mean, you helped invent the game. I mean, is she in over her head and coming for you?
Now, do I need to answer that really? Do you really want an answer to that? I mean, isn't it obvious?
It is obvious, but I just felt I would ask.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't seem to think so, though. She seems to think that she's a formidable opponent.
Well, of course. I mean, you always have to, if you don't think highly of yourself, who else will?
Do you think you talk about authenticity and the OGs and listen, we're in season 14, of Atlanta. So, it really any franchise, can someone come in Drew's in her second season, Sanya, hers in her first season, can someone come in now authentic? Or is it do the newbies come in too studied? One could argue, well, if Drew wants to make a splash in her second season, we might as well. I mean, Sheree is coming back. That's a thing. Yep. That's going to be a headline. So, I mean, is it now calculated with these newbies of you come in knowing the game or knowing the assignment, as everyone says?
Yeah, I believe so. I believe they have studied. They have been fans of the Real Housewives of Atlanta for some time. And they come in thinking that they have to do X, Y, Z. And that's why a lot of them don't last. They don't last. You may see them one season or two seasons, whatever. They don't last because you come in, you think you need to make this big old splash, but honey, a splash is going to happen regardless. When you have some strong-minded, opinionated women, you're going to get that splash. You don't have to make it. You're going to get it.
Right. Is there anyone who was
Yeah. Well, she's fine. She's fun. She loves to laugh. Who knew?
I never thought I would see the day where Miss Kenya Moore got the exclusive tour of Chateau Sheree. So, I mean, that I never thought I would see.
I never thought I would give it to her.
Have you got as an extensive tour of Moore Manor?
No, I have not been invited back.
We You recently said that you think it has something to do with Drew being back, that, you know, Cynthia's gone and Portia's gone and we have a certain number of peaches to give out.
I mean, yeah. She barely made the cut by the hair of her chinny chin chin.
I think, listen, it's one of the most iconic products, even though it has not been a product to now in Housewives history. I don't think people refer to any products more than She by Sheree.
Can you imagine? And not just in Housewives, it's a household name. A household name that's never had a product for 14 seasons. It's crazy.
You should go into,
huh?
There's some type of brand. Did any part of you think to not keep going? Like, it kind of became like the butt of the joke over years of like, we're never going to see this.
Yeah, so many times. Every time I tried, I'm like, okay, I would literally do interviews and say, okay, I'm no longer doing She by Sheree. It's dead. I put it to rest. They would not let me put it, the fans would not let me stop. So they actually are the motivation. They push me. They push me, but it's like good motivation, a good push in the right direction. Like, okay, bitch, you talked about this for so long. We need something. We want something, and I got to give it to them. And I appreciate them pushing me like that, because I try to get away from it for so long, so many times. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. And then I'll start, and I'll stop, and I'll start, and I'll stop. Because also, along with that, you'll also see me talk about some of the reasons why She by Sheree I was never able to get it off the ground.
No.
Okay, absolutely. Who gonna check me, boo?
Iconic.
Hello.
Welcome. I mean, Marlo, you've always had the juice, but now you have the peach, honey.
I got the peach, David. I got it. I'm so excited as well.
I mean, like, is this as big a deal as I'm making it? I mean, you know, this is like 10 years in the making, Marlo.
I mean, guess what? Great things take time. It takes time, right?
It takes time, and you hung in there and you showed up and you did the job, and here you are.
Showed up, showed out, stayed 10 toes down through the tears, through the hurt, I deserve it. Why don't I have it? But I'm a firm believer in.
I mean, listen, you said on this very podcast in early 2020 that it was never going to happen.
Never going to happen. And it's so sad too, David, as I think back to where it had me feeling it was never going to happen. All the naysayers, all the current peach holders at the time telling me, you're not good enough. You're not their brand. You would never get it, to where I literally put that in my heart. Like, okay, you're going to be a friend forever. And not to mention, I was offered a peach years back, and I didn't accept it. And at the time, as the years went on, I was like, okay, I see such and such come for a season and such, and hey, I'm over here. Get me, I want one. Why can't I get a peach? But I just feel when it's meant to be, it'll be, and this is the time. This is Marlo Hampton season right now. David, all the girls are shady. And of course, I wasn't there at the time. Who was that came over? Sheree and Sanya came over to tell me they were being shady. And I just guessed Summer was one of the girls over there talking about it. So I wasn't really, you know what, I take that back. I was kind of shocked because this season, Summer and I had a great season. I was there to support her on Dancing with the Stars. And I was like, this could be that one season where we just get along amazing and we support each other. The way I went and dressed as Ruzo, who was it? Ruzo, I dressed as to support her. And I'm like, she's going to come to my event. She's going to support me finally. And it was a disappointment that it's like, no one wants to support Marlo. She's never going to support me. And I need to just accept it for what it is. She's like one of those African-American sisters who are just not going to support another fabulous African-American sister.
I mean, is Kenya capable of passing the baton and just being a nice, non-shady Kenya Moore? You're like smiling and laughing as I'm asking this question.
You're so comical, David. Do you think Kenya is capable of passing the baton? Never. She's definitely not. And as the season unwinds, you will see that. Kenya's just never going to pass that. That's something she's holding on to. That's something that she may want to pass, but she can't. That's her title. She's going to hold it. I mean, you saw she backstopped her bestie, Cynthia. How do you backstop Cynthia Bailey? you pour a drink on Ramona. Come on, she's gonna always be the villain. That's who you are, Kenya. I understand you don't want that, but it's in your blood, baby. If you draw her blood, it's like villain, villain type.
I see that you really watched Girls Trip very closely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What about, Kenya has said a lot, I mean, I agree with you. She probably can't pass that baton, but she said, we have a new villain in town and that her name is Marlo Hampton. Like, what do you say to that? Because she does say that you are the villain of this season.
Now, Kenya is very intelligent, but I think on that one, she was a little delusional. What she meant to say, I'm going to tell you. She meant to say, I'm more like the damn hero this season, okay? I'm the hero. I'm keeping everybody peach nice and juicy. I'm making these heifers work for their paycheck, okay? So definitely not the villain. And if you think about it. Every time Candy's had an interview, who did she mention? Marlo. Every time Kenya has an interview, who did she mention? Marlo. So I'm just the topic of discussion lately.
You really are the topic of discussion. Now, you were also the topic of discussion here recently behind the velvet rope. I recently sat down with Candy, listen, Candy's been very much a proponent of you getting a peach like all these years.
Absolutely, she has.
And I know, she implied we're going to see, we don't need any spoilers, but, she implied like we're going to see not one, but two kind of blowouts, arguments between the two of you. Like how shocked were you that, at some point, and we saw some of this in the trailer that you kind of got into it with Candy. I mean, that would have been the last thing we would have expected.
You know what, David? One thing about it, Candy has been an advocate for me for getting the peach for years, and I thank her for that. But don't think because you've been an advocate of me getting the peach that I'm not going to tell the truth. That Candy I've known longer than all these girls, 15 plus years. I don't know if you know, but I dated her godbrother. So Candy, you're like a sister to me. You're like family. I don't give a damn about Escape or Old Lady Gang or what other business you have, or if you're working on your Emmy or your Grammy. If your ass is wrong, I'm calling you out. And she needs that in her life. She doesn't even know she needs me because she has so many people that's all over her ass to where when I come and tell her how I'm feeling, she takes it as, oh my God, I advocated for you. Okay, you did, sis. But right now I'm telling you how I feel. I'm stating facts. So it's not that I love Candy to death, but if I can't be your friend and tell you the truth, I don't want to be your friend. It is what it is.
And as you watch it back now and the social media aspect gets involved in it, that you and Candy might start to go down this road of maybe
You know what? I hope that we don't, but Candy is very sensitive. She's very sensitive and she's spoiled. She's like a spoiled brat, a spoiled money-making brat. And like I told her, you didn't even get to see this because she tells everything, so I'm gonna tell everything. When we got into it, there was no cameras around at first. They caught it at the mid of the argument. She was like, don't talk to me. I'm like, girl, shut the hell up, you spoiled fucking brat. I can talk to you. You were wrong. I can curse you out. Who the fuck are you? So with Candy, it's just, baby, I love you to death. You're a spoiled ass brat. And somebody got to tell your ass off. And God said, Marlo, I need you to just tell her when she's wrong. So I'm not worried about it. I don't care about the followers. I don't care about the status. I care about at the end of the day, when she goes in the room and closes the door, she can say, Marlo is one authentic, real bitch. And that's all that matters to me at time. So right now, I just got to come on and be the leader and teach these new girls in our group, like, hey, how this is done and be the boss that I am. And I thank God Candy is still there, but I miss Cynthia. I miss Cynthia. I miss Nene. I miss Portia because I feel this was a time when they should have celebrated me. And you guys still can celebrate and have a party for me because I know you still love me. Okay.